At the time of its inception, it was practically unheard of. A theater company created to showcase black theatrical talent. In 1967, the Negro Ensemble Company was born. This year marks NEC's 50th anniversary of showcasing African American and Caribbean performing arts and artists. Joining us today is one of the co-founders of the Negro Ensemble Company, Douglas Turner Ward, actress Barbara Montgomery, and Erich McMillan McCall, founder and CEO and president of Project One Voice. Thank you all for being here this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Douglas Turner Ward, you can't say one without those other two. At the time, you and your buddies decided that there was a need for a theater company like the Negro Ensemble Company. What made you believe you could make it work? Because it was really revolutionary.
Well, the thing that made us know that was possible is we already had done a production of my two one-act plays, Happy Ending and Day of Actors. And they had succeeded off-Broadway at the St. Mark's Playhouse, and it eventually ran for 14 months. During that time, I wrote what became the manifesto for Black theater, period.
Yeah.
I wrote an article that was printed in the New York Times, and the title was American Theater for Whites Only? And a question mark. And then I outlined what the situation was, what was necessary, what was needed, and how we should go about doing it. And I called for a company, a professional actor, putting on professional plays, along with a major training program in every phase of theater, training black talent. And that was it.
And what it did was it attracted the attention of somebody with the money to help you guys make this happen.
In 1968, in January, we opened our first production, A Song of the Lusitanian Boy.
Yes.
And it became immediately impactful.
Yeah.
And suddenly the whole theater world was struck by the expertise, the excellence.
Even though all that talent was obviously already out there.
Yeah.
As you pointed out, you guys were already essentially doing that work without any money, without any backing.
It was a combination of veterans, someone like Barbara Montgomery, who arrived on the cast, and the young veterans, and people like Hattie Winston, who at that time were teenagers, who were just developing that. So the combination of veterans and potential excellent talent that has gone on, of course, all of them have gone on to major success in American movies and theater all over.
And Miss Montgomery, I wanted, look, you were just talking, you were in the final season episode of Grey's Anatomy just recently. I love the way you explain it. Oh, I was playing a demented woman. You've done it all, film, television. I think I was really first aware of you in a big way, probably in the soaps. When I first remember,
in the soaps or the sitcom?
Sitcoms. I'm sorry, sitcoms. Yeah. But talk to me about what an NEC means for a young artist like yourself to get involved with these people that really come from every aspect of the theater and to learn the craft in such a way that it really sustains a career like yours.
Well, he was like, when I think of Doug and I think of Ellen Stewart at La Mama, and I think of my moving into who I became, what I do now and how I represent it all, she was almost like I go from La Mama over to NEC, from La Mama to NEC, but at La Mama, it was developing this instrument because she was so open, and you could go as far as you could to experiment with your physical and your emotional. And at NEC, you find how to use it. So she was like my mother, the theater mother, and Doug was like my theater father in a way, because here you are given so many, I was given so many opportunities. There were so many different roles that he put me in, and so to my doing and developing. As I developed, saw where I could go, how I listened to what he had to say, and the next thing you know, we're moving on, then you're doing something else that it's part of your stretch. Then you're stretching here and stretching there. And again, I was fortunate to have been at La Mama, where I'm actually directing a play of Aquella Barnes, shouting, actually will be up next month. The Cost by Aquella Barnes at La Mama.
But you really, you credit the NEC.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the thing about off Broadway at that time, there were so many little theaters. This was the main.
Yes.
NEC was the main, but this was. It came into the off Broadway movement.
Yeah.
But it was actually a league of regional theater. Was it a Lord at that time? Was it Lord at that time?
Yeah.
But
That was the something.
and there was, I want to say hundreds, but there was loads of small theaters, sometime in basements, all around, everywhere, and didn't make money.
Yeah, but
It wasn't about money.
You
It was
honing
developing.
your craft.
It was developing, yes.
Yeah. And look, I'm gonna read a couple of names. These folks have come through. They're alums of NEC. Denzel Washington, Samuel L. Jackson, Asapatha Murkison, Felicia Rashad, Al Freeman, Adolph Caesar, Esther Roll, Roxy Rover, Denise Nichols, Ruben Santiago, Debbie Allen, John Amos, Angela Bassett. Honestly, the list is anybody of color that was acting and worth anything came through NEC.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. That's what it looks like. What does it mean to you 50 years later to sit here and talk about that, think about those names, listen to what she said about what you did in terms of helping her hone her talents, help her to shine brightly? How does that make you feel to know that you had a part in all of that? Fulfilled.
Yeah, fulfilled. We set out to do that, and we achieved it. Robert Hooks, Joe Crone, and myself, we presented the Ford Foundation with a goal that we will try to achieve.
Erich, I want to bring you into this conversation. You are doing something wonderful in that you are helping to pay tribute to the NEC over the next year or so. Talk to me a little bit about what it is that your organization, Project One Voice, is doing.
Well, we're planning a year-long celebration of the legacy of the three co-founders of Negro Ensemble Company. That's Mr. Ward, Mr. Hooks, and Mr. Crone. I think a lot of people, when they think about the Negro Ensemble Company, they don't know that there were three people that made that company work. And what we like to do with Project One Voice is do a year-long celebration that will include stage readings of classic plays from the canon, conversations with Mr. Ward and other Negro Ensemble Company members. We are planning a 3-city tour right now. We're going to Los Angeles, and we'll be here in New York City and in Atlanta.
Okay. And why do you think it's important to remind people and refresh their memory about what NEC was able to do and how that legacy endures?
You know, it's really interesting. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, and we were talking about this exact same thing. He was saying that, he said, well, I don't think people care anymore. And I said, you know what, I beg to differ. I said, because a lot of the inspiration that I get comes from Mr. Ward and Barbara McCollum and so many people that came before me. I think in order for us to understand where we're going to, we have to look back at the past and understand the trails that they blazed for us to enable us to move forward.
Thank you. Douglas Turner Ward, Barbara Montgomery, the Negro Ensemble Company. I keep wanting to say national.
International,
because they did actually. The Opie went to.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. No, that's okay. The Opie went to Europe. I mean, some of the plays.
Yeah, we played
London.
London.
You were in many places with the bogey. And don't forget, Sam Art Williams played Home. Went from here, from the main theater to the Court, and ran on Broadway. We left. For First Breeze of Summer with Leslie Lee. We went to Broadway. We played the Palace. We played the Palace. Name dropping.
We're gonna and you should be name dropping. I think we're gonna have to all go out for drinks, and you guys are gonna have to refresh my memory about some of these experiences. I suspect there are quite a few stories to tell. Yes, you did. Yes, it was. And that was that the first Tony?
Yeah, we made it.
Okay.
And it had Roxy Roker, who a lot of people remember from The Jeffersons, and she's the mother of Lenny Kravitz.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Me in the river now.
Thank you
Lenny
all for sharing your stories with us today.
That's what my hearing aids.
We'll have to have you guys on back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. When we come back,